Hello, SpeedGaming. We got Specks versus zerorush today. This is the loser's bracket match with zerorush up again. Yesterday they had a quagmire of a seed where they went into swamp like 4 times, so I hope they have something better today. And we should be off soon. And we are off with a split start, Fury and Link's house. And an early map check. Everything's a crystal. Desert's a red crystal. We don't really care about those. Sometimes you can read a little bit of logic, but you won't see big bombs very often in HMG. Zerorush going straight up the mountain. It's most people would go around the Lost Woods, but you don't have to do that. You can just go straight up the mountain and then go around the Lost Woods for Kakariko. I think Zerorush's route tends to have him not checking Lumberjack. Might be worth paying attention to Specks, who I think does check Lumberjack. I think he does the climb up there. So he'll go counterclockwise through the Lost Woods. Early Graveyard Ledge. This is zerorush's third item in the game, but it's also an early source of bombs. These are this is an assured boots mode. I mean, the glitch modes have had start boots well before boot start was a thing for anything else, because the glitches are much better with boots, and if you don't have them, you're at a severe disadvantage, more so than any other mode. The logic would also just, like, it doesn't require the boots list glitches, so if you were to randomize the boots, then you might end up with a seed that's mostly not glitch logic if the boots get forced in the late game. And that's not very fun. We came here to have glitch logic. Oh. Okay. There's a moon pearl on the lumberjack ledge. You don't strictly need a moon pearl, but the time you spend avoiding it, using the glitches to get around it, you'll probably make back just by doing Aghanim early. It's a good spot. Zero Rush didn't look at it. I don't think he knows that's there. He might last location it, or he might figure out it's there and decide to just not use it. There's a lot of vanilla red rupee in Blind's Hut. Getting him up to 100 too. Entering Kakariko with fewer than 50 rupees is a little bit sketchy. Okay, early lamp. I guess early lamp is expected in a game where Moon Pearl is on Lumberjack. The dark rooms are still not in logic. So, you know, all the stuff that, like the minor glitch stuff, except for the stuff that you would do as a bunny, is more or less the same as no glitches. That we also expect to see some early swords in this Aga seed. There's a clip that gets you into Aga Tower and skips the barrier. That clip is not in logic for some reason, even though it's not that hard. But no one's complaining, because if you have to do Aghanim, at least give us some swords. You do need one for the climb. I missed what that was in the Hera basement cage. I'm gonna assume it was the map. I think I saw the tip of a map and a small key in the top chest, so we don't know if it's accessible. The big key can be in Hera basement, but it could also just be upstairs. And if it's upstairs, you're supposed to take the big key from Meyer, clip into Hera from Meyer, and use the key to open the one door that it locks. Also, Zero Rush gets sword number 2, so you go to Kakariko and all you get is the stuff for Aghanim, and he's the one who doesn't even know that Moon Pearl is there. If he's lucky, he'll get bottlenecked into that. Or he'll get so much stuff that he can just finish the game without Pearl and be fine. But anything in between, where you have like 2 items in the Dark World that you really want to have the Pearl for, like Hammer Pigs or Spike Cave, would be pretty bad. I'm not sure how that beam didn't hit the Popo. Specks needs to be a little bit careful with this Moldorm. I think a spin would be good here. Oh, he's having a bit of a joust. Alright, we're safe. 3 hearts and only the last one to heal. I think I saw a little pause there as the hearts were about to refill. Maybe it'll carry over. No. Zero Rush is... Okay, so he has a thing where he goes to desert, but he doesn't do all the overworld checks that are at desert. Normally he just goes straight to Ice Rod Cave, which is a point of no return. But in this case he has the opportunity to kill land mullahs. And he's going there instead, and this is also a point of no return unless it drops the glove. But he always seems to find a way to route those things back in, so he's not leaving them behind completely. I think maybe in his mind, there are so many of them he can't do that he'll just do them all later as a big overworld cleanup block rather than as part of desert. Now, this Lamolas is not a whole lot you can do. The best you can do is come in here with beams and spam them. But the tempered spin does do a little bit more damage. I also saw some bombs get thrown around. But those are pretty hard to deal with. The bomb timer is an eternity. It's so hard to predict where enemies will be when your bomb's going off. Oh, great. 10 minutes in, we get our Link's house check from Zero Rush. 101 rupees. Probably not going to be rushing South Shore with this. This looks like... I don't know what this teleport is. Are we going up? What is this? I've never seen that before. That was faster than... I mean, that was like comparable to the fast hobo clip. That was pretty good. Guess I can't really call this an opener at 10 minutes in, but Hobo straight to Ice Rod Cave is a newer tech using swim clipping that was discovered last year. Swim clipping's not in the logic, but it's very useful. Specks will show us some items we didn't see from Zero Rush, starting with K45. It's really just going to be K45 in Agina, and he might end it at Land Mullahs like Zero Rush did, but I think if you do that, you want to do Agina first. So maybe he doesn't intend to do that yet. Maybe he's waiting for better equipment. Always showing us the... It's not new tech. I know, I've been doing it for a long time. I think we just kind of copy each other, but we did recently time that just holding up left out of that transition gives you a really nice long hop off the ledge, and it's faster than any other way. Okay, this is terminal for Specks. No land molas for Specks. Just 2 red rupees in the overworld. Specks has a more appealing crystal to do, which is Eastern Palace. He hasn't done Agina yet. Oh, he has. He's just going this way. Boring. Oh, there's good stuff here for Zero Rush. Blue Potion, bottle in a seed for Moon Pearls and Lumberjack is a tempting proposition. Blue Potions are a key component of skipping the Moon Pearl. Oh, this might actually be the check, the Lumberjack check. He doesn't necessarily, like, know it's here yet. There's still locations neither of them have been. Neither of them has even done the escape yet. But he's making the check. I think he sees the equipment he has and thinking, it's giving me a lot of swords and a lot of lamps, and I should look at Lumberjack. This also takes him to the mountain. I mean, he can just save and quit and go to the mountain, but that's slower than doing this, so it works out. This seed has said, here's a blue potion. I dare you. It takes several minutes to climb the tower, but it's really easy to lose all that time from all the stuff you have to do to skip Pearl. If you're in go mode, you can probably reliably save that time, but if there's any chance that you have to look for items in the Dark World in the bad locations, then you want to have that Pearl early. And the longer you put it off, the more time you bleed. Another sword available in Eastern for Specks. So already on Tempered Sword, really being unsubtle about this. Oh, the hookshot in Dark Cross. Zero Rush could have taken that Hera small key all the way to the back of Escape. Which, yes, the Hera small key, Zero Rush isn't Hera. He was clipping in the wall in the Beetle room to get to the escape. So that small key he had in his inventory was not an escape key. It wouldn't have been safe to spend that key unless he knew for sure that he'd get it back. And because he hasn't done the escape yet, he didn't have a good way of knowing that. So instead he's taking his hookshot, and what do you do with the hookshot? You Hera pot. There are other ways into back of Escape without a glove. Or he could just go to the escape and maybe get a key at the front. Oh! You're about to be... between them have all 3 Light World crystals. It's almost like they're doing the dungeons in order. Because their next dungeon's probably going to be Castle Tower. I think, you know, you want to do as much Sphere 1 as you can until you at least have something good to do in the Dark World. There's no reason to rush. Imagine missing out on that hookshot in Dark Cross. Nobody's ever lost a race because of that. That is such an interesting Herapot setup. I've never seen that Herapot done that way before. Usually I see people set up in the corner for each attempt. It makes it faster to re-attempt. It's also interesting that Zero Rush went upstairs. Didn't actually get this item. And was just hoping that Moldorm would drop the item. So now he goes through Swamp Palace. Spending the Hera key. I'm assuming he is just... I'm not sure actually what his plan is for the key, because he can't... He can still steal the key. Yeah, he's fine. He's not supposed to spend the Hera small key here, but most of the time it's fine. Last race, they had an item in Hera Basement. So that's the danger, is that you've left an item in Hera Basement. And if the item in Hera Basement is the Meyer Medallion, you can actually, like, break your seed by not being able to get it. Because if you leave something else behind, you can just go to Meyer, borrow a key from Meyer and spend it. That's the key you were supposed to spend in Swamp. Spend it in Hera instead and you're fine. Specky clip, by the way. 20-minute Specky clip, and it's not even Specky doing it. I like this. We're doing flipperless Swamp. This is not in logic, by any means. This also gives Zero Rush his key back, if I'm not mistaken. If he routes it in a certain way, or just happens upon the Swamp small key, which can be any chest in this dungeon, he'll get his key back. But without the flippers, you're leaving behind left side. You're leaving behind, apparently, the big chest, because we don't have the Hera big key. You're leaving behind the boss, of course. You still need the flippers to get to Argus. There's fast-moving water. There's no glitch around that. That's legal. So, he is actually a little bit in danger of dying here. We have to go the long way because no flippers. There's a bomb diver down that doesn't splash, but I only know one person who can actually do it. It's not strictly hard, it's just not very well known. Meanwhile, Specks is going into the front of Escape and Uncle, another thing we haven't seen. Zero Rush getting these first so that he can exit out of the other one. The diver down chest. That's his second Hera compass. I wonder if his strategy is to excavate as much as possible without Pearl, just to see how viable it is to skip it. I have a hunch that Zero Rush is going to be the only person with an active flute this seed. The flute was in Swamp. I don't expect Specks to even, like, think about activating that. He'll probably be in Flipper's Go mode. We don't even know that Swamp's a crystal. And yeah, Tracker Other Tom makes a really good point that activating the flute there is a sign that you plan to do things like buy a lot of potions. You really want to have an active flute if you're going to be doing pearl skipping, because of how many blue potions you have to drink. If you're in go mode, you only need like 1 or 2, but if you're looking for items, you might need more. Each potion gives you a trip to the Dark World that gives you a link state without the pearl. But you lose the link state when you exit the underworld, so you only get to go inside once per trip. There are things you can do as a bunny, though, so you can go inside and then come out as a bunny and still do stuff. There's ways to get your link state back if you have the mirror, but most of the time you're just doing these really short trips that take a long time, and it's not very efficient. That's why we have logic for requiring the pearl for most things in this. There's a mode that doesn't require that. It's the major glitches without the hybrid. It's really poor for racing because of how volatile it is based on who finds pearl. One way to make it not volatile is to just remove the pearl entirely, which we can do, but we thought it would be more fun to just take that stuff out of logic. Specks is ready to move on with his life. We're in Aghanim's pink Barbie house tower. This is amazing. It's so pink. Pink, green walls, and yellow hearts. Zerorush has all 3 medallions. I think at least one of them was in Swamp, but I'm not certain of that. Generally speaking, any medallion you find in Swamp is probably not from Mire. And we probably know that. I didn't look at what was in the first chest, but it wasn't a key, so I think it was a map. So any medallion that was found in there is definitely not from Mire. Because you're supposed to be able to get in there from Mire to open that door if you don't have the key. Alright, look at those pendants. We got a equilateral triangle going on. Guess what? Swamp's a pendant. Skull's a green pendant and Turtle Rock is a pendant. That means that fire rod they have might not have been required, but we have it, so we don't really think about it anymore. Ice rod's not needed. And the flippers aren't needed. If anything important was found in Swamp, then Specks will probably not have it, but I don't think anything was. Zerorush is doing a check. I don't think Specky did this. It's the 50-50 Eastern Big Key chest. Specks really doesn't like to do these one-off checks that aren't even guaranteed to be an item. Very common to see him skip stuff that's slow and bad. Maybe eventually after a lot of play he'll get burned enough times to be more gun-shy about these skips, but right now he's skipping them, and it is a glove, so that glove is not necessarily required in this seed. You need one glove to lift one rock before Cold Stare. Everything else is maybe like 1 or 2 one-off locations in the overworld, and one more item in Ice Palace. And the mitts are completely skippable if you know what you're doing. But if you don't have them, you're probably not going to do the mitts check. So if something's there and you have the mitts, you have the advantage. Even if you don't need them. Zero Rush will at least be happy to be able to do back of escape. One more thing he can do to put off Pearl. He could also return to the desert area, pick up the checks he left behind, and pick up one more that Specks wasn't able to do, which is Checkerboard Cave. Oh, Specks and Pod finds the Cane of Samaria, which is required for Meyer and maybe GT. Pod is also accessible from the Light World. This is something Zero Rush won't like. Specks isn't even using the Pearl to do this. This was an underworld clip from a cave in the Light World. He's still in the Light World. He never actually went to the Dark World to do this. So everything that's found in the Light World is +1 for skipping Pearl. Zero Rush is actually just going to get his Pearl. It's just interesting to me because he still had some things he could do, like back of escape. I guess he's doing the escape. Maybe he will skip it still, but I think once you're in the escape and you're running out of good stuff to do that's not slowed down by not having Pearl, you just do it. As boring as it is usually for the better. For the purpose of the race, you're probably losing time if you skip it. Specks is already on Sword 4. So that's 4 swords in the Light World. Real subtle. Ooh, the book. Specks stops here because he knows he's missing map and compass. Good job counting items. There is a lot of menu viewing opportunity during that hammer jump. Oh, I think if Zero Rush had done back of escape first, he could have skipped the Zelda cell chest, known it was a map. What a shame, but that's okay. I think the Death Warp here makes it pretty clear that he intends to do Castle Tower now. I'm not sure what's going on Spec's screen. Here we go. Because I'm watching him on the side and he's in Thieves. So probably what we saw there was checking the tablet and then just a simple jump off the mountain in the dark world. Yeah, something on Lumberjack. Literally the only reason to do Aga Tower in this mode. You see somebody in here and you just ask, what's on Lumberjack? Last time it was... Like, I think there was actually a Lumberjack seed earlier today. It was the bow. Another item you can skip because there's two of them. And both runners just got it because double dipping Eastern sucks. And they wanted to do Eastern. And relying on the second bow being available any kind of soon is a fool's errand. You will spend more time looking for it and double dipping stuff than you will just doing castle. But just looking over at Specks' personal tracker, I don't see any new items. I think we were lucky that he cut out between one check and the next. And we didn't miss anything. Specks has to do the kill room because he skipped the glove in Eastern. Sag. So this is, you know, Specks is ahead and going to the Dark World, but zerorush has gotten more done in this time. That has worked towards the goal, which is 2 extra crystal dungeons. Found the hookshot and found the glove. And I don't think he's really done anything that, like, wasted time because he was missing Pearl. He didn't do anything out of logic. He didn't do anything that's slow, like East Death Mountain, Dark World stuff. He just did the Light World stuff that made sense to do, followed the crystals, and then when it made sense to do so, he went back to the escape and did the castle. Yeah, that's what I think. Like, zerorush is just being super reasonable. The one thing I kind of disagree with in his route is, I think probably he should have done Back of Escape first. He could have saved some time not doing Zelda Cell, because it was the map. But that's a small optimization there. And he had just gotten the glove, so probably wasn't thinking about it yet. There's a few more Light World things he could have done, like Desert Overworld, but that's just chasing fetch. And chasing fetch is... I don't know. He has better things to do. He has a lot he can go to right now. One thing Specks has that zerorush doesn't have right now, though, is the Cane of Samaria that was in Pod. If that's locking the hammer, that could be good for Specks. Zero Rush knows how to skip the hammer and pod if he has the cane or a potion, but it's like difficult and time consuming. I haven't seen him attempt it in a race yet, but he talks about it a lot. Yeah, the density doesn't come from the aggro climb. It comes from what are you doing with the pearl. And Zero Rush does have a lot available to him that's pearl-related density. He didn't actually know that Skullwoods is a pendant yet, but he probably had Skullwoods on the mind. Hookshot Cave is available. Nice dash for Specks, by the way. That's I think like a first frame dash and the frame rule. So you have to get lucky and you have to be good to not take damage. Or he just took a splash. It's hard to tell. I don't get all the frames, so I can't tell when he's taking a splash. Oh, we're just doing cleanup. Okay. Zero Rush is like... He describes to the school of do all your Sphere 1 first. I've been so far rewarded by doing this. Just doing as much Sphere 1 as you can before you start doing Dark World if you don't have anything really obvious to do there. Oh, the mirror was sitting here! Well, Specs isn't going to get that either, unless a glove shows up. So, mirror is optional, but it's really good because of the way you navigate dungeons in this mode often has you doing things backwards, like Turtle Rock backwards and Ganon's Tower, you're full clearing it looking for items. Having a mirror to be able to warp around is really good. It also makes Swamp easier if you're going to do Swamp, although it is dependent. And there are some glitches you can use the mirror for. Like, there's a mirror glitch that gets you into ice very quickly. If you don't have the mitts, it's the best way to get in. So that's, you know, Specs is going to definitely not getting mitts. Unless he last locations that glove. So the mirror is something he would want for ice. The third best thing is the flippers, and he has those. You can get into ice with just the flippers, using some long-winded clipping in that area near Hype Cave. So it's not like he can't do ice, it's just slower. Hookshot Cave is a really good starter for Dark World, especially if you haven't done your map check yet. Lets you do the... You use 6 checks up here, plus Catfish. And there are things you can do from Catfish that can get you to Village. The glove in Hookshot Cave is interesting. You can get that without the other glove, because Hookshot Cave has a back door that's not glove locked. Specks is also a hover, so he'll have to hover that if he doesn't do the escape. Specks looks like he's going to Ganon's Tower right now, which is very interesting. Going here early when you're missing hammer can be a huge play if the hammer is just in the first 4 checks. It's usually not going to be anywhere past that because of the key logic. There's really nothing stopping it from just sitting on the torch. The only thing that locks the first 3 chests of Ganon's Tower is the pearl. Zero Rush has the opportunity to do Zora now. Or maybe he already did it. I'm not sure. I don't think he did. What's going on? I don't remember seeing Zora from anyone. Oh no, ask away. This is a weird mode. There's definitely a lot to explain, and I do most of my explaining in the first couple weeks of the tournament, so let me know if I just skip over some crucial information. Yeah, Zero, I saw Zero go there and knock at Zora earlier. He had no money. But he got 300 rupees from Catfish and then mirrored and fluted away, which is baffling, but also maybe he hadn't quite processed the 300 rupees yet. Literally his HUD didn't even show that he had enough money because it was still counting up. And it takes time to register that you have items sometimes. Oh, Hammer was in GT for Specks. That's huge. Hammer in GT is just such a hard location to read. Because you can't read it. You just have to go there and hope it's there. It's just the 4 checks that are by themselves. It's a little better when you have the Fire Rod and Cane because even if this part would be out of logic, you can still do it. And if you find the big key, you can still climb. Like, it's not like you're forcing yourself to double dip the place every time, but you probably are. So now the advantage lies in Zero Rush having better navigation with the mirror, already having a glove. Actually a second glove even. So that gives him really good navigation. Mirror Flute Mitts is a really good combo to have. And ability to check Smith Chain without doing like glitches that you're just not going to do out of logic anyway. And not having to look for the Hookshot Cave Glove. I'm not sure what Specks is trying to do. It's interesting that he didn't go anywhere past the compass room of GT. He could have. It would have been out of logic behind the hook shot, but this is a hover seed. He can hover. So I don't know if he necessarily cares about the hook shot. Going back to pod makes sense, but it's not a... There's no item here. He already got all the items. So I'm not sure what... Yeah, maybe he's giving himself thinking time. He just found the hammer. He doesn't know what it does yet. So go to pod, do Helm of Sword, and think about what the hammer does while you're there. Incidentally, that hammer being behind the cane does make this a logical double dip of pod. And if you want to make it an actual, like, single dip, you have to do some stupid stuff. Zero Rush gets faster navigation through Thieves Town with this glove. And the hook shot. But he doesn't have the hammer. And the hammer's important. And it's really hard to find when it's in GT. Now that I think of it, Zero Rush just needs to get Cane and Hammer for the seed. And Specks needs a glove. And Ether. Where was Ether? Zero Rush has all 3 medallions. They did different setups. Depending on which side of that slope you clip off of, you either land at the bottom of the Hera stairs or the top. And they both have their advantages. If you want to get into Hera very quickly, clipping out on the right side is faster because it puts you at the top of the stairs, right at the entrance. But if your goal is to not actually go into Hera, but just like go up the mountain with a screen wrap, then clipping at the bottom is faster because then you don't have to go down the stairs. So here's Specks getting a crystal that Zero Rush doesn't have. The crystals that Zero Rush has are... I wouldn't say they're like easy to get, like Desert's easy, but Specks would have to get Ether or Hookshot to get to Desert. Or to get to Hera. Or maybe get, if the big key's in Hera basement, get that. So Zero Rush, about to pass by Meyer to see the medallion, but it doesn't matter because he has all three. Really, the only thing Zero Rush needs to do is go to Pod and then go to GT. Going to Pod without the hammer is not the worst thing. Going to GT without the hammer is the worst thing. So it's, you know, it'll probably be around the time when they're looking at pendant dungeons and like, okay, I either go to GT, which I can do a bunch of, even if it's mostly not in logic. I might be able to just complete this dungeon. Or I go to Pendant Turtle Rock. Which one do I do? It's hard to know. Turtle Rock has more items in it that are in logic, but GT has more items in general, and 4 of them in logic is still a lot, so I think it's, you know, Zero Rush is in a really good position right now. That said, he's in Smith Chain. He's being thorough with this Dark World clear, which is fine. But we're in no mode, so I still wish I remember where Ether was. I just looked up and saw Zero Rush had three medallions. I thought I saw a Bombos in Swamp. I know Ether's not there, so it can't be Ether. Specks gets the big key, hammer locked, so you have to double dip. Well, you don't have to double dip. You get the hammer here. But Specks doesn't have the hook shot, so it might be a hookless climb. He's done it before. And if he's looking for a glove, that's, you know, glove can just be wherever it wants. Very little is actually locked by the gloves in this game. And Ether can be anywhere except Swamp and Mire. And sometimes Hera. Where's Hookshot? It's in Dark Cross. The glove that Specks is missing is in the eastern big key chest. And you can probably guess which glove will be his first glove. It's not going to be that one. The actual glove that's available to him is in Hookshot Cave, and it's hoverable, so it's not the bonk shot chest. It's hard for Specks to get to what he needs, but he doesn't need that much. Zero Rush has already gutted most of Swamp, so those flippers probably don't induce the same dread that they would if you were looking down like, oh, I gotta do Swamp now. Looking for the hammer and the cane. Ether was on Sick Kid. How does Specks get back to Sick Kid? Specks doesn't have the mirror that's glove locked in Checkerboard. He doesn't have the flute that's in Swamp. If he's looking for Ether, he's not going to find the flute. So he just has to go to Sick Kid, and that's really hard to get to. Zero Rush doing Swamp. All he has left in here is Argus in left side and the big chest. I don't even know if he has the big chest available. I don't know where that big key was. This is a heck of a thing to be doing, though. When you have, I don't know, you have like Pod available, and you have a TR is bad. I totally understand not going there. I think Meyer is fine. You can just go in there and look for the big key, and then leave when you don't have the cane. I'm not hugely against caneless Meyer. I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I can think of one way for Specks to get Sick Kid, and that is he's cleaning up Desert. He hasn't done Desert yet. If he finds his Hookshot Cave glove, he might be enticed to go through Kakariko to clean up fetch quests on the way to Desert. and get his mirror out of Checkerboard Cave. Mirror doesn't do much for him. It gives him a better way into ice, because he's not going to get the mitts. Yeah, all the Mire logics that we know of is going to be fixed. That means that the first chest of Swamp can now have the Mire Medallion in the next version. And Swamp Palace will always require 3 Mire keys, which is something we assumed was the case until we actually looked at the code and found that it was just borrowing left side Mire code, which mostly worked, and then they fixed Mire logic and made it not work anymore. Alright. So no Argus. That might not be an item. It might be the small key. I don't remember if zerorush found the swamp small. Or opened the swamp big. So maybe small key, big key are both missing. Oh, Specks almost dying here. Making good use of that blue potion that was free in the seed. This looks like a Mire play for Zero. I like the Mire play. Chainless Mire, it doesn't take that long to get back to. He doesn't even know the medallion. Why even bother looking? Do you think he remembers where Ether was? Like, oh, I have the huge sick kid advantage now. I didn't remember what it was. Specks, by the way, he is doing the hookless climb. This is all of GT for Specks. Sadly, it's not going to have anything he's looking for here. The best thing he could find is the silver arrows. The other thing that could help him, I know this is weird, but he could find the ice rod, and that could make the mountain, East Death Mountain, more appealing to him. So he might think like, oh, I'll just do Hookshot Cave and, you know, Super Bunny and TR all together. And then he'll get his glove. And then he'll go to TR and do all of that. But at least it'll get him the glove. Oh, the powder up here. Powder is... well, it's not in logic for him. But just because of the hook shot. I'm assuming that not enough small keys were found for the climb to be in logic. But, you know what the powder is? It's a fetch quest he can take to put him closer to Ether on Sick Kid. So that's actually a really good item for him to find right now. Alright, we're warming up the hovers. These hovers are really important. He gets it first try. He really needs to hover Hookshot Cave. Or he needs to go to Dark Cross, but I think he's much more likely to just hover Hookshot Cave. So it's good to see him getting clean hovers. Hammer is in Tile Room of GT, everyone's favorite location. And Samaria is in Pod. You have to believe in Hammerless Pod. If you can basement clip, you go to Pod expecting to not clear it, but then you find Kane and you're like, maybe I can just do all of it now. But Helmless Sword doesn't have an item, so unless you're really fast at it, you're better off just coming back later to clean it up. Oh, Gamachu, you might have missed the Moon Pearl that was on Lumberjack. The tracker doesn't even show Aga 1 because we hardly ever fight Aga 1. But I assure you both runners have fought the wizard. And Zero Rush has the bonus of getting to save and quit to the pyramid every time. It's great. Oh, the dead rock block! That's supposed to ag a dead rock. This screen is the worst. So, this is some form of East Death Mountain for Specks. That is very good. Hopefully we see Hookshot Cave. It's really hard to justify doing Hookshot Cave when you have no glove and no hookshot. But if your hovers are clean, then the lack of hookshot might not even be a factor in that decision, and you might just do it. The big key in big chest. Lovely. So, zerorush, what he's doing here is he's refunding the Hera key that he spent in Swamp. Restoring it to its rightful place. The Hera basement door. I guess you would put this off if you knew that when you're in Mire you're doing this play, because you don't want to have to make this decision. Oh, you gotta lift those pots if you want to do that. Otherwise you have to be on grid. And if you're not on grid, then you... If you're on grid and you're too low, you might have trouble getting to the pegs. Okay, Specks, Super Bunny Cave, what's next? Are we gonna drop down the ledge? Yes, we are. This is good. This is his glove. The glove makes it easier for him to justify going to all the fetch questy stuff that he has in the escape area, or in the east, sorry, the Kakariko area and desert. He might go to Ice Palace first, which is fine. It's fine to go to Ice Palace first, but after that he'll have something to do. That's better than just go to Sick Kid. If he never gets his hookshot, that could make his Hera clear a bit of a pain. He will have to do that stuff zerorush is doing, which is clipping from Mayu to Hera just to unlock the big key door, and then climbing Hera normally. Zerorush did Hera basement, and then mirrored out, which is a little different. And then gets the second item in Mire. Where does he go next? Ooh. He goes to the pyramid, because that's where you go when you defeat Aga. Specks has not been able to pull off hovers. This is actually very unfortunate. This is, as far as I'm concerned, his only available glove. Now we have to start thinking about what will it take for Specks to go to Back of Escape and Dark Cross. Back of Escape has the small key, so there's a swim clip that gets you there, skips the glove. He can spend the Hera key to go to the Back of Escape, and that'll take him past Dark Cross, and he'll get his hookshot. Then he has to take the hookshot back to Hookshot Cave. Yes, Specks did the gamble, the 50-50. The thing with the 50-50 is they say you save time overall doing it, but you have to go back in to get the item. But you also don't have to. And if you don't, then you risk bricking the entire seat for yourself if it's something you needed, because you're never going back. Specks did have an out because it was a glove, but the out is gone. It wasn't a very good out for him because it required hovering and hard to get back to and so on. Meanwhile, zerorush is doing something I've never seen before. He's in this screen I've never been to with this thing following him around. I don't know what it is, but he's in pod now somehow. He has 0 keys. I'm used to seeing 255, but this is 0, so I'll have to navigate a little bit differently than what we're used to. Ice Rod is sitting on Bombo's tablet. So Specks is in a desert area, And I don't think this is going to take him to Sit Kid because he started at the bottom. And he will go to Desert at the end, locking himself in the circle. Zero Rush gets the cane and is attempting the rail hover. One of the hardest hovers in the game. Oh, that was so close. I'm not sure if that was his positioning. Like maybe he wasn't clipped into the rail far enough to the right, or if he just dropped the hover, but regardless, he got the cane, which is important. That he's on the path now. If he goes to GT with the cane, thinking, you know, first 4 chests are in logic and everything else is maybe a completable dungeon, then he'll be in good shape to finish this out. Okay, Specks is dashing out of Sanctuary with the powder in his hand. This will likely get him his Ether Medallion from Sit Kid. While he's in Mire, he will probably start thinking about Hera and Swamp. But unfortunately, he needs a glove, and it's so hard to think of how he can get his glove now. One thing that could happen is he has the mirror after... Oh no, you need the glove for that. Never mind. There's a chance that the mirror puts him on Pyramid and then he like mirrors and does the escape, but I just don't see it happening now. He needs the glove for that. So there's his Ether. Oh, Zero Rush is doing it. Okay, so I've alluded to this. This is called Basement Clip. It's a glitch that uses a whole bunch of like little one frame. What was that? The turtle clipped. I have never seen that before. Okay, we're not basement clipping, but that was cool. I have never seen that. Can the turtle teach us to do that in reverse? That would make basement clip a lot easier. It looked like he didn't have spin speed. I agree, because he walked out after doing the successful potion drink that puts you in the stairs deep enough to get spin speed. He came out and he slashed a sword, which is something that he didn't have spin speed. But then the turtle clipped out the rail. That was really cool, so I don't know. No basement clip, that's fine. He probably saved time not doing it anyway. Oh, he's going back for it. No way. Alright, we get to see this again. He has the cane and the lamp, and that's a free setup. So you have the cane and the lamp, you can do what's called lamp-controlled Samaria bounce, which controls a slot, like a certain Samaria block to bounce around and lets you pick up an invisible object. Use the invisible object to get your spin speed instead of the potion drink. And then it despawns because the Samaria block goes off screen. So why are we getting spin speed here? We are using the spin speed to do a whole bunch of rail clipping and a teleport indoors, but it's a different teleport than usual. So it's going to be a little bit of clipping at this bottom here to set up an upwards teleport. And this is where the spin speed is needed, because it clips you through the wall a little bit. And there, okay, now we're at that second part. We're in the rail. Any wrong movement will kick him out of the rail, so he has to do everything right. Oh, and he gets kicked out. He can still retry if he wants to, but I think he's decided not to do so. That glitch was discovered by the world record holder of the speedrun that uses this rule set, or more or less. And it's just a bunch of... I don't know how people find these things, but I think it's known that you can kind of shimmy through rails a little bit, and it was just a matter of trying things. Like, knowing how Link moves, knowing how Link interacts with objects, and playing around with stuff in, tool-assisted speedrun settings to make it work, and then figure out how to do it for real. Basement clips have been done in the tournament. They seem to always be off restream. I believe, like, Tam, Doomtap, maybe, have done it. So that clip Zero Rush is doing, you can probably see what he was attempting to do. Once he gets in far enough, he can bomb himself through the rail, effectively. But instead, he goes to the right place to get his hammer out of GT. The good thing is, Zero Rush got to have a little bit of fun and didn't lose the race because of it. He's in a pretty commanding lead now. Specks is making progress in Meyer, but again, I just can't contrive a way for him to get his glove anytime soon. He has a lot to do right now that is not going to put him near his glove. For example, he can go to Swamp, do Hookless Swamp. He can go to the Escape, get the hook shot, and choose not to go to Hookshot Cave with it, but choose to go to Swamp instead. Whole bunch of stuff that can happen here. And I think even if he goes to the right place, Zero Rush is pretty on path now. Maybe a little bit behind on... No, I don't think he's behind on anything. I think he's behind on GT and Helmasaur, but ahead on Hera, and Hera is not trivial for Specks. So, yeah, and behind on Meyer, because Specks is doing Viddy, and Zero Rush has gotten the big key, but not had the cane at the time. So this is go mode. Zero Rush needs the key, which is in this room. Yeah, the mirror was good, because he gets the key faster. There it is. And save and quit, because it's faster to go back to GT from a save and quit than it is to walk to Ganon from wherever you finish. Actually, not true. For once, it's not faster to do that, because we have the Aga defeated portal. But nobody thinks about that. I didn't think of it. So, I guess what he could have done is done the climb and then fluted away from here, but nobody thinks about that mirror to pyramid thing. Nobody expects the dead wizard in these seeds. So it's a little bit Zero Rush has to clean up now, but it's really just clean up. It's 2 boss rushes. It's Pod and Meyer, bosses only. Ice Palace go mode with mitts and flippers, it's free. And the GT climb. No spooky. It's interesting. I wonder why. We had the flute in the midst, so it's not even because of fluteless spooky. Specks gets blue cane that zerorush got. You wouldn't skip Pings and Mire when you're caneless. You never know when the cane is there. Just not the right one. The fact that Specks is continuing tells me he's going to Hera and Mire, but Hera and Swamp. This could just be unlocking Hera because he has to do that if he's skipping Hookshot in the seed. But pretty hard to do this and not just continue to Swamp when you have very little left to do. So probably seeing some more swamp diving for Specks, but this is, you know, like a hookless swamp. It's not a fun swamp. They've already had one of those. Zerorush's swamp is fun. Flipperless swamp with hookshot is fun. Okay, next up, Pod for Zerorush. No, this isn't Pod. Okay, it is Pod, but I'm not sure if he, like, failed Kiki or if he wasn't trying. If you're not going to try Kiki, you should just, like, climb normally. It's faster. It's definitely faster than Hair Clip. It's only 2 seconds slower than Kiki Yeet. But it's also really easy to just go for Kiki Yeet and miss and then do a Hair Clip by accident. That's probably what happened there. So we're in Pod. Helmosaur doesn't have an item, but it's just a crystal he has to do. It would have been cool to see this basement clip, but, you know, it's a hard glitch. Specks getting the news about the Hera Big Key being unavailable. So it drops down to open the door. This is the intended way to do Hera. Hera Pot is not in logic, so if you see, like, upstairs Hera Big Key, it's because of this. It's because of what Specks is doing right now, taking the Mire key, dropping down, opening this one door that it locks. It's the only thing that's stopping you from climbing. The Specks going down means he's leaving. We're in the fake light world. We don't see fake light world very often. Going back in to actually do the dungeon makes sense. Probably do the basement if it's an item. Maybe we'll get the hook shot. If we get the hook shot, that would be pretty sweet. Just one more crystal for a Zerorush, and then a climb. And Specks has had a critical moment here. You can go back in and clip to the escape and get his hook shot, or you can go to Hair Basement. Looks like Hair Basement. He can do both, but he's choosing Hair Basement first. He's still in the Dark World, by the way. Look at those pots. They're skulls. The fact that he's in the dark world doesn't really mean much while he's in the dungeon. If he really wanted to, he could walk outside and transition, and he'd be near Hookshot Cave again, so he could make another hover attempt. So he still has the path of, to getting his glove. That's not getting the hookshot. But he has to go back into Hookshot Cave and hover. Oh yeah, he has a third option. He can climb and go to Swamp. That's true. He has an extra key. He took that Meyer key and spent it here, and now he has the Hera key to spend freely. Walking out, I would say that's a good sign, but there's like 3 things he can do from here. I don't know which one he's doing. Even if he were, like, where would he go if he was going to save and quit? He'd go to Skullwoods, I think. What else is there to do? Zerorush not wasting any time in this room. You can find silvers, you can find mail. He doesn't need it. Okay, Specks is going back to... This is probably Turtle Rock. Maybe we'll see Hookshot Cave again, but I think this is Turtle Rock. I think that was Quake, so you can open it. Oh, it's Bombos? He doesn't have Bombos! Oh no! Specks, you know this. I think Bombos is in Swamp. Oh, we have Bombos. Never mind. So, opening the front gives him the option to continue making choices that... I can't even tell you what the choice is going to be. Because he can go to Skullwoods from here, or he can go to Hookshot Cave. I think Skullwoods is actually probably better. Even if I want him to go to Hookshot Cave. Skullwoods is 3 items. It's a green pendant. It's been in Logic for a long time. Hookshot Cave, currently out of Logic. He already tried it once. Going back here would be a losing play. So... Oh no, he's going up! Don't go up! Oh, he figured it out. I would not fault him for going to Skullwoods after this. Or just leaving. But I don't know where he would leave to. I love seeing Zerorush get all this mileage out of that flute he got out of Swamp. Because the Swamp play was otherwise pretty empty. But the flute is really helping him out. When you don't have access to save and quit from the Dark World, and you're always mirroring all the time, you might as well use the flute. So it's saving him a lot of time. Specks does not have enough keys to get through the front of TR. It's this middle clip locked. So he has to go in through the middle, which is fine. A little slower, since he's already in here. This is not Yoho rating with people who are watching a different HMG race. GG on that, however it went. Little recap of this race. Moonpearl was on Lumberjack. Both people got it. But the big decider was Specks skipping the Eastern Palace Big Key Chest, which had a glove in it. The other glove's in Hookshot Cave, and Specks also skipped the hookshot in Dark Cross. So it's pretty hard for him. He already tried hovering Hookshot Cave once. Pretty hard to see a path back to getting his glove that he needs for ice. It's the only thing he's needed for a long time. He took a little bit of time to get to Ether, but that didn't lead to anything. Where is it? It is in Hookshot Cave and Eastern Palace Big Chest and in Dark Cross. I'll let you decide what it is. What Specks needs. One of them is the hookshot. It's the big key chest. It's the one you skip if you want to gamble. Oh, there's the silvers. Laser bridge. And Specks likes to skip stuff that's slow, so he took the 50-50 big, you know, big key chest versus boss has the item and lost the 50-50, and it was the glove. And then the other glove being in Hookshot Cave made it kind of hard to get. Because he doesn't have the hook shot. That's in Dark Cross. The mirror is glove locked, which is why he doesn't have it. Oh, look at this Christmas Trinix. It's like minty. It's like wintergreen. Right? No, spearmint. The default is wintergreen. This is a spearmint Trinix. Spearmint peppermint. Everybody prepare for like ultra speed Trinix phase 2s, by the way. We're getting a new update to this game. It's going to come out. Planned date is Thursday. It's going to make some fixes to the HMG logic, allowing the Mire Medallion to be placed in the first chest of Swamp and fixing some of the key logic issues we had discovered. It also reduces a lot of the game's lag. So if you are in this tournament and you want to practice that, you can go into the beta site and try out some seeds yourself and get used to the lag reduction. Beta. It's the beta seed. It's short for B-Torp, I'm assuming. Where is Specks going? This looks like a mushroom turn-in. But Specks has had this mushroom for a long time, but I don't remember where it was. There was also a basement clip attempt, but instead of basement clipping, one of the turtles basement clipped out while Zero Rush was getting his spin speed. It was pretty funny. I'll have to clip it later. Nice slash kill for Zero Rush. Finishing out the seed. So with this time of 129.02, Zero Rush advances in the lower bracket, knocking Specks out of the tournament, who had a good run. Very new to this mode, pretty new to the randomizer in general, but really made a splash with the discovery of Specky Clip, among other things. But also just a lot of self-improvement and good attitude in general. So we'll be getting him in for an interview. And Zero Rush is joined as well, or about to join. GG Specs, good run in the tournament.
Thanks, Malmo.
Sorry you didn't get to Specky Clip in either of your races.
It's fine. It is what it is. I feel well about how I played overall the seed. I did mess up escape because I forgot post Aga with no mirror. It's a pain to get back in to escape, so I couldn't really delay it as well as I thought I could. And yeah, unfortunate on the glove placements.
The glove placements were like pretty mean. Like you shouldn't have been punished that hard for leaving the glove in Eastern. And then you tried so hard to get the other one, but like the hovers just weren't coming out at that time, and it was like if that hover could have failed at top of GT, it would have been better than if it failed there.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Once you're there, you just, I'm going to keep trying it because I'm here. But like with Hookshot Cave, you can fail it a couple times, you just leave. That's the correct thing to do.
Exactly. And I knew my hovers from before the race. I was practicing. They were really bad today. Like, I was shocked I even got the one in GT. So I pretty much knew I shouldn't go for it once I failed it a couple times. Yeah, but GG Zero Rush.
Yo, good game. Honestly, I came in here ready to whine, but given how the seed went for you, I feel kind of bad. Like Mama said, the glove spots were a little mean if you missed the first one. So I was looking for the hammer and cane forever. Was what tripped me up a bit.
I got those really early on.
Hammer and cane, yeah. It's that like hammer and GT is just the worst.
Yeah, it as soon as obviously I full cleared the light world before getting the pearl, and then took a look at the crystals and dark world. And I was like, cool, I need like 2 items, hammer and cane. So if I had thought about it for 5 more seconds, I should have said to myself, I should just check the 3 chests in GT because they're in logic, and if I find the cane, I'm going there anyway, and if I find the hammer, I'm going there anyway, right? And then I just did it for 30 minutes. And then obviously the hammer would have led to the cane as well.
The 3 chests would have been bad because the cane was in tile room. You had to go to pod first to get the cane.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
3 chests in GT would have actually been literally the worst thing you could do. But I was curious how much you were contemplating skipping Pearl entirely in the seed, and what would have led you to make that decision.
It didn't seem like obviously I could have. It didn't seem like it would have been faster, if that makes sense. I would have had to. I'm not as familiar with doing bunny stuff, so it probably would have been me buying a bunch of blue potions, and doing it that way. But I also don't know how to do Ganon without the pearl either.
Ganon without the pearl is die in GT, so you're good to go there. But so I think it puts you in the fake dark world. But what you do have, I agree. I don't think you skip Pearl in HMG unless the stars align. But there are a couple things you can do before you even go for Pearl. Pod is actually one of them, and Specks did that early, found the cane early. So you did have a path to skipping Pearl, which would have been go to Pod because it's a light world check, and then go to GT because, and maybe you don't know this, but like the citrus clip to GT is not that hard if you learn it. You do basement clip, you have no excuse. I'm just kidding, but it's
no, I do know that.
Not that hard, you probably know it. So you go to GT, you get your hammer, but like the hammer could have just been in Hype Cave, and if it's in Hype Cave or in like, I don't know, like some stupid one-off catfish dark world location, you're not getting that without Pearl. So if you're skipping Pearl, you're probably already in go mode. Skipping Pearl not in go mode is crazy.
At that point, I had the flute already too. Flute's kind of nice when you have it before you start doing all this other stuff, because it's better with the mitts, which I did get afterwards, obviously. But yeah, I think I would have slowed my. It would have been really nice to have a seed without the pearl and actually complete one, but I didn't feel confident enough to do it.
Save it for the casual races. I like to pull that
Exactly.
off in like the asyncs because they have no stakes.
I did try and do the basement clip. I went down there with a potion, messed it up, and then left. And what am I doing? I have the cane, and then went back and messed it up again and said, "What am I doing? This is such a waste of time."
I was cool. Did you notice the turtle clipping out?
I did see that before I left. Yeah,
That was pretty
that,
funny. Because
I
the
don't think I've
turtle
ever
was
seen that
like
before.
teasing you, like, "Hey, look how easy it is for me. I could just walk through this
Yeah.
wall, but you have to do this whole rigmarole to get in. Haha, suck it." Also, that turtle would have ruined your day because it would have
Yeah.
walked towards you while you were doing the clip.
But yeah. I guess I was worried so long about the hammer, and it didn't even register to me that I needed the cane for it, because I was just not thinking of anything else at that point. So I guess it really wasn't as bad as it seemed, because I did get to stay out of like Turtle Rock and Skull Woods, so it could have been worse.
You did quite the adventure in Swamp though, and it got you the flute, which
Yeah.
is nice quality of life item. Probably not literally worth the difference, but psychologically made the game feel better when you have that post-Aga mirror spawn. You can just mirror and flute everywhere instead.
Hey, where was the mirror?
Checkerboard cave. Behind the glove.
Okay.
Yep.
So
cool.
like everything
Yeah.
I was thinking like, okay, all the paths that you can take to get to a glove, a lot of them involved the mirror, and it's like, oh, you're not gonna get that either. And the hook shot and the escape, you're not gonna get that either. Because you wanna have like the mirror to get that from Pyramid. It was so hard to hypothetically get you to a glove.
Yeah,
Once you weren't able to hover the one.
my lesson on this race, my lesson on the last race was I needed to learn how to route Hera stuff better, which I did correctly in this seed. I made sure to route Hera properly. I checked my Hera basement, but today's seed was like, I didn't want to do escape with Aga because I'm like, it's slow. I think I have so many other options. I'm gonna delay it. I can come back later. Barely lose routing efficiency. But I forgot that post Aga no mirror. You have to go all around with Uncle, and then I'm like, I already did Uncle before Aga. That's super slow. So in the future, when I'm in the situation, because I mean it's so rare you do Aga and HMG, but if it happens again, that I'm doing mirrorless Aga, I'll make sure I do escape first. Just one of those edge case things that you don't really think about. So
Yeah,
good
and,
lesson.
I wouldn't sweat it too much. It's a weird seed.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
just
gonna
feel,
get another Aga seed for like 20 seeds. So.
hey, I just feel bad because on my last, so I lost 5 races in this tournament, and two of them, I was go mode glove, couldn't find the glove, and 2 of them required Hera basement seeds, and Hera basement and go mode glove keep destroying me, so feels a little bad, but I feel like I played well overall, and minus the escape thing, I'll live by the Eastern skip in New Day. I think it makes a lot of sense in this mode, where like I think just being a little aggressive I think's better overall. Maybe I'm a little too aggressive, but
But yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed the tournament. Zero Rush will be advancing to play the winner of Homemade Beer and Tracefire. They have one game that they ran today, so they're still waiting for their results. For the rest of the day, there won't be any more HMG races, but later this week there is a Speed Gaming Daily for HMG and a whole bunch of scheduled races. Check out the schedule. Keep an eye on it to see if any channels get assigned. There's a lot of Speed Gaming Live going on right now, so that's mostly what you'll be getting on these channels. Speed Gaming 1 through 6. Follow each one to make sure you don't miss anything. Otherwise, that will be all for today's show. Thanks for watching.